Say that again.
Sorry. And now we can begin our main topic of the Game Awards, where there's a lot to get in through here. And so I think what we should do, since they have Game of the Year up top here, we should start from the bottom and go up. What do you think?
Started from the bottom. Now we're here.
When you click vote, view categories. So go to the best esports team. Okay, I see what you're saying.
When I did the voting, it goes right here.
Yeah, but you can go to view all categories.
Yeah, that's what I went to.
Yeah, and then you can
All right, so this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna try to do it like reverse, so we can build up. Okay, because we don't care about this, right? Best esports team. Do we even know any of these teams? Does anybody know any of these?
Team Liquid's the only one, and Navi. Team Liquid and Navi, the only two I've heard of.
Yeah. I'm just gonna go with the name I like the most. Okay. And that's the second one is Gen.G. So I'll just pick that one for my personal.
My favorite one is Billy Gaming.
I do. That was a good one too. I just like it because I feel like there's two ways you could take this name. Of the first one, it very much reminds me of like Gen.G, as in the character from Overwatch. And then the second way is like Gen.G, like Generation of Gamers or something like that. So
when you click it, don't go click that. It's gonna break. Go to change my vote, but now go to view all categories, and then go to the next one. Yeah.
All right. Got you. All right. That way. Okay. Thank you. All right. Best esports athlete. It's funny how they call it athletes when all they do is
Faker.
Yeah.
Faker.
That's the only one I've actually heard of ahead of time. So
he's huge. He's huge.
Yep. We'll go Faker. Okay. Best esports
game.
Counter-Strike 2 is new. So
Counter-Strike. So this one I'm voting on my personal account, so this is where we could, differentiate. Yep. So everything on stream is my personal votes. Other people will have their own votes.
Yep.
Yeah, and we're telling you what we're voting as we're doing it as well.
Valorant came to Xbox, so
it did.
That's a big one.
Anytime I see
Mobile Legends Bang Bang is huge.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go with the one that I personally got involved with because I personally don't care for Counter-Strike or Valorant gameplay loop. I never touched Dota. But League of Legends is the only one I ever really got into.
I'm going League. League's still huge.
Yeah. And welcome, Andrew, from the Science Fiction in the chat.
Hey, Andrew.
Good to see you here. Yes, we are doing well. Hope you are doing well.
Creator of the Year.
Oh, wait, why aren't we there? God damn it.
Yeah.
You know us. We're
the country creator of the year is Christopher.
I don't
actually know any of these.
So we're gonna go typical gamer.
I was about to say that's what I'd vote for there. All right.
I know Queso. Queso's pretty big.
All right. Most anticipated game, and I feel like this is a very. I know what's gonna win, but I highly disagree with what's gonna win because it's probably the one. Because that's the one that I honestly care the least for.
Beyond.
I'm going GTA 6. I mean, it's too obvious.
Yeah, it is.
It's just the amount of hype for that game is just insane.
Best adaptation is our next.
My personal one I'm going for is Ghost of.
That looks like a cool game.
There you go.
That's the person. Like I said, my personal pick of what I'm just most excited for.
This to me is an easy answer. People are going to say Arcane, and Arcane might win. But Fallout deserves.
I was about to say, I think Fallout has a pretty good chance, mainly because
they're
not over yet. Is the big thing.
Oh, that's a good point. Okay, so yeah, Fallout should win.
Tomb Raider does not need to be on this list.
I heard Knuckles wasn't good either.
Knuckles is supposed to be really good. I haven't watched it yet, but it's supposed to be really good. And
I've heard it's pretty solid.
The Haley Atwell Tomb Raider.
I heard it's not very
Sophie Turner is going to be the new Tomb Raider live action on Amazon.
I still don't know how I feel about that either.
Neither did I.
But my vote is going to go for Arcane because I absolutely love that.
Yeah, but Fallout to me
I'm going Arcane.
Deserves it. It's Fallout's amazing.
All right, best multiplayer game.
Call of Duty's going to win it.
Helldivers too. Yeah, Helldivers would have had a great chance
if it weren't for Call of Duty.
The community would have stuck around.
That's true too.
Oh no, they also. I don't know if you all remember. They put a big middle finger to a lot of the community and just hasn't.
They did
the same
done anything. Yeah, Spencer and I haven't touched that game in forever.
Mario Party, Tekken 8, Warhammer. I'd say Warhammer will probably be the solid second from what I've seen of it.
Call of Duty,
but Call of Duty, that's the only one I really. I mean, I played Helldivers, but I've been more into Call of Duty.
Sports
Oh,
game.
Sports/racing, but there's no racing here. Well, no, there's F1.
Yeah, there is F1.
Well, that'd be my personal pick because I don't give a crap about any of the others.
I think NBA is probably gonna win.
Yeah, I'm personally gonna go 2K24.
Yeah, I think that might have a chance. Because
I heard good things about that game. I heard really good things about the wrestling game this year. But yeah, I think you're right. I think 2K25 for NBA is definitely going to win that.
All right. Best sim/strategy.
And it's tough for me because Kunitsugami, I haven't tried it yet, but it's so unique.
I only tried one of these, and my experience with it wasn't that good.
Manor Lords? Or is it Age of Mythology? Oh, Age of Mythology. Yeah, we tried that. It was terrible.
But yeah, we did not have a good time with it. We did not
have a good time with it, but people seem to like it. But I think Manor Lords or Kunitsugami will win. But I'm gonna go with Manor Lords.
I would say Manor Lords, although Kunitsugami was a game I was more interested in.
Yeah, but I think
this is one of those things where it's like I'm
going Kunitsugami.
I would say Manor. Well, You know what? I'm going to say Kunitsugami as well, just because that's the one I'd actually probably play over the other one, even though I'm not.
It's Capcom,
You're right. I have that installed.
I was about to say I actually installed one of them.
Yeah.
I looked long and hard at Manor Lords and didn't install it. So, but I hear that's a great game and probably deserves it more.
Best family
game: Astrobot, Princess Peach Showtime,
Mario Party,
Funky Squire.
Man, that's a tough one because
this is a really good one because I hear really good things about Zelda.
Astrobot's it's a
single player.
Here's the thing, though, is it says appropriate for family play,
and Astrobot's a single player game.
It is, and so is Princess Peach,
and so that's why I say Mario.
And so
Party.
is Zelda.
I say
Zelda
Mario
is also.
Party.
It's got to be Mario.
The
Party.
only one that's actually a multiplayer experience is Mario Party,
which is a family thing.
Yep.
Family don't play single players generally.
No. Best fighting
Mario
game.
Party.
The Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection arcade.
Best fighting
for sure.
See, here's the thing, though, is I feel like
stuff, though,
here's the
Zero is huge.
Here's the problem. Here's the thing. Here's my thing with this, and I like everyone's opinion on it, is Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection is just a collection of old games. So it's like, is that something that's not necessarily a new game, though?
But you don't realize also like how much
but it's been optimized properly for optimized controllers
well, yes,
and stuff like that. So,
but it's still at the end of the day, it's still just
there were games like locked. There were games like locked back in that period. You had to have original hardware to play so many of those games.
So
while they may be old, like they did manage to modernize it.
Yes.
Here's the thing.
But it's also not from 2024. You're right.
As I say, while this is my personal favorite of these, I don't think this is the one that.
As someone
it's not a new game.
It's a way that people complain that we're not preserving games. This is a way that games are preserved.
Yes,
and that's what makes
the correct way of doing it.
Fighting game now is because it's preserving history. All these other ones are just expanding on previous types of games.
Yes.
This one is the only one preserving history.
That's true. But part of the thing for me when we look at Game Awards, and this very much gets into the whole discussion of if remakes or remasters belong in there, right? Because for me, it's like it's celebrating the games of that year that push the industry. This is just preserving the past and not pushing what's going on. And so that's why, while that's my favorite, I wouldn't pick that. I'd probably probably Dragon Ball of those.
I heard the roster in Sparking Zero is massive. I'm also going to vote Sparking Zero.
Absolutely insane.
And apparently not fully balanced either, which is kind of funny.
And what I think will actually win this will actually be Tekken 8, because I hear great things about it. And what I saw from the beta was great. All right. Best RPG, where we got Dragon's Dogma 2, a DLC, what the hell? Final Fantasy Rebirth, Metaphor, and then Like a Dragon Infinite. Well, I only really played one of these, and that's Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, so that's where my personal vote goes.
Yeah, first of all, let's talk about, this is where we can first start having our DLC category discussion. DLC definitely needs its own category, especially with how big DLCs are these days. I mean, and with how late sometimes, like, there are games that are 10 years old that are still coming out with DLC.
Yeah.
Look at World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
Look at
Diablo just got a big one that had really good reviews.
Lord of the Rings Online is still coming out with DLC.
As well as SWTOR.
Yeah. Star Wars Old Republic, absolutely.
And so, point is that we're getting to, though, is that especially when we're in a day and age full of games that are ongoing and only add stuff, it's great to see. I think it's a great idea to highlight the expansions that we get for these games. However, I think in the way of calling them actual full-on games is the wrong way to do it, because at the end of the day, that's not a new game. That's just an expansion of more of the same. And don't get me wrong, while here Shadow of the Erdtree is great, it's just at the end of the day, yeah, it adds new bosses and new weapons or whatever, but like, it's just more Elden Ring. It's not actually a new game.
Well, and this is where your question of remakes and remasters as well, like, because you've played Rebirth, and it while it is a remake, it's also an expanding on the idea and the mechanics and the story. It changes so much that it is a new game.
Right.
The only other game that I would put over it is Metaphor. However, if we're in this category, I would go with Final Fantasy VII because of it's Final Fantasy VII. While Metaphor is probably going to get my Game of the Year as my dark horse, I think, and we'll get to that later, it's a dark horse for Game of the Year and dark horse for Best RPG because of what Atlas has done. I think that Final Fantasy VII is just so iconic, and people have just been waiting for this for so long, and it's had so many great acclaims that
and they delivered.
We're having the third is officially now confirmed too that we're getting the third part of this trilogy is now in development as well.
Yes,
all completely written and now entering production. So awesome to see.
And it will be all coming to Xbox eventually over time, timed exclusives and stuff. So
eventually is the keyword. But yeah, that's my vote, since that's the only one I really played here. And I haven't beaten it, but I'm most of the way through. I'm like over 70% through it. So according to official PlayStation numbers. Now this is funny. Best action adventure, Astrobot's great, Prince of Persia is great, Silent Hill 2 I hear is great, Legend of Zelda I hear is great. Why is this game that didn't get so great reviews on here?
Star Wars Outlaws.
They want you to overlook the shitty graphics and the glitches.
They want you. It's because Star Wars, Disney, money.
Yeah, just branding. Branding.
Look, this is a tough one because as much as I want to give it to Astrobot for this category, and I really think it should win Game of the Year based on the other nominees with it. I think you make a huge point about Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. I think it was snubbed.
It was really good.
The DLC apparently is amazing.
It's a solid DLC. $5 DLC if I remember right. You get a lot of content for $5.
A lot of content.
And free updates that they give it too.
Of the kind of game, action adventure, I think of Prince of Persia as that kind of game. Astrobot to me is a platformer.
Well,
it's an adventure game, sure, but I'd say the more action adventure game is Prince of Persia: Lost Crown. And to me, that is going to get my vote.
My personal vote will I'd still stick with Astrobot because
you've played both.
It's very much I did play both, yes. Astrobot was fantastic though, and
I'm going with Chris. I think it's gonna be Prince of Persia for me.
All right, best action game.
This is weird. Like we went from action adventure to just action.
Doesn't make sense.
And for me, it's gonna be Black Myth Wukong.
It's got to be the whole system of combat in that game is deep.
My pick of the week, if I didn't have watched Penguin, my pick of the week would have actually been the campaign for Black Ops 6, as I played over half of it in one sitting not too long ago. Like, I think it was over the weekend on like Saturday or something like that. Because I was like, I don't know what to get into. I was like, okay, I'll just start playing this. And I just sat through and played like over half of it in that single night. And then that campaign is great. And so with that being the only one that I really got it. Well, okay, I played a bit of Helldivers 2. Helldivers 2 was a lot of fun. But like, I got to give it to COD for somebody who's not a big fan of COD, and Black Ops 6 has a lot of flaws as multiplayer. But that movement system, yes, Andrew hits it there.
Omni movement
it feels fantastic, and with that all combined in a really good campaign experience, I'm gonna my personal vote goes to Call of Duty here. All right, best VR/AR, which is interesting. Because I haven't played any of these.
Yeah, Batman.
Batman. Yeah, you're right.
Go for Batman.
It's all for Batman.
The
only one that has a chance there above it is Asgard's Wrath 2, which I heard really good things. But
this best mobile game is interesting because look, there's Balatro there for you, Spencer.
Yeah,
and then the Pokemon game though.
Well, I didn't play Balatro on my phone. We'll get to that later, but. I'm going to pick Pokemon as since that has come out. I mean, I have logged into that app every day. They've already generated over 120 million.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Insane. That's getting my vote too.
And it's addicting.
Pokemon, it shouldn't lose.
It's so good. No, they did a great job with it.
I've heard people nonstop keep talking about Zenless Zone Zero, so I think that one's getting my vote for this year.
All right. Next is best debut indie game, which
this is a hard one because Animal Well I played a little bit of, which that's a really cool simple game.
Shadows in the Shadows and the Shadows.
Platformer. Balatro, which I was just playing it for my first time today. That is actually really good. Taking the simple concept of applying roguelike mechanics to playing poker, where you're given a deck. Your general what is it? Is it 52 cards per deck, right? And so your 52 card deck, and you can upgrade certain cards, and you get these like Joker cards that you get off to the side that can then have special effects for how you build up your poker hands. As you try to get your flushes, royal flushes, two of a kind, a pair, two pairs, right? Full house, all that stuff you're looking
kids
for.
Into gamblers.
Yeah, right. Terrible. And so anyway, it takes a really awesome, really cool, simple concept and figures out a way to like make it bigger into a roguelike, and it's really addicting, honestly, too, because you're like, okay, unlike a bunch of other roguelikes, like something like Dead Cells, right? Don't get me wrong, I love Dead Cells, but this is like very much more like chill, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is awesome to get into as well. I haven't played Plucky Squire yet. I really want to. It looks awesome.
So
Pacific Drive looks fun as well. Plus, on PC, there's a VR mod, which looks like a lot of fun. So whenever I do get it, I'd like to have it on PC to try it in VR. It looks like a crazy game in VR. That would also give me much tickets. Now, it doesn't officially have a VR mod, but it's a game that's you could very easily implement a VR mod within it.
Yes. To work. And then Manor Lords again. I don't see that as a game that as indie. Like it's an indie game, but it wasn't the kind of game that I look at it as an indie game. Animal Well, I've heard the most about. Plucky Squire, I have not heard as much as I would have liked to hear about. And Pacific Drive does look amazing too. And honestly, actually, Ironwood Studios is down the road for me in Chicago, so I'm gonna go with Pacific Drive.
I'm very much torn between Animal Well and Balatro. I know I was giving Balatro a lot of praise, but
Animal Well I think is gonna win it, but I would,
Yeah, I played some bit of Animal Well. It's a really cool, 2D platformer that you kind of just have to explore, kind of like what the hell's going on, right? And so it is really interesting, and and again, it's a very nice, simple platformer, but it has its own aesthetic that sticks with it to be a very memorable experience. However, I think I'm going to go with Balatro, probably just
Yeah, I'm
That's
going
the
which
one
is
we're
gonna
correct
the
with.
next category is gonna kind of throw you for a loop.
Best independent game. Well, okay.
See what I mean?
Animal Well, Balatro.
Hey, the last one was a debut game.
I'm going to Animal Well on this
Yeah,
one.
Balatro, Laura, and the Laser. I'm not even know what that middle one is. Neva looks really good. Neva I have on my wish list, and UFO 50 seems interesting too. Well, I'm gonna give it to that one again, Balatro again, since I
Balatro
just made up
again,
my decision.
Yeah.
Best community support. Oh man. Oh, No Man's Sky deserves this.
Every year they do something big. Helldivers 2 would have had it if they didn't fuck up. Although it's PlayStation that really fucked them up.
Fortnite.
Fortnite did a lot of updates.
But
this year, though.
but see, Fortnite they do updates and stuff like that, but they're not
They did
community
frequent.
support. Listening to the community.
You know what? You're right. It's No Man's
The walking
Sky.
glitch,
It's
man.
No Man's
Like,
Sky.
how long has that been around? Like,
You see, because of that, I would actually give it to Baldur's Gate with everything that they've been doing for their game. Honestly,
Are they still doing stuff?
Yeah, they are.
Okay.
They just added the official mod support, and so we're actually seeing higher numbers around this time of year than last year because they added.
We should go back to it then.
And all that.
Ooh, that's
and
tough
they are
then.
officially adding crossplay in their hopefully their next major update.
So that's tough then.
So that's why I give it to Baldur's Gate 3
then, if that's the case. No Man's
I'm
Sky
sticking with
has
No
been
Man's
doing
Sky.
it for years, but they haven't done anything revolutionary this year. But
I was going to say this year they did some stuff.
They did
they're
they did
starting
the graphics update.
Well, they're starting to do crossplay, but that's in a beta
That
where
too.
only
That too,
so many
yeah.
people got into it, so it's not completely out yet.
And cross save, right? Wasn't it cross save too?
Cross progression is new.
Cross progression, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I think.
So next is best ongoing.
Okay, hold on. Let me get
which I'm probably gonna give to Fortnite.
I was about to say, I think
Diablo
Fortnite
4
deserves it.
Might.
I think Diablo 4 is a solid runner-up, but Fortnite, you have to
Fortnite,
consider
yeah.
this is the year where they've expanded with since last Game Awards,
yeah,
or at least for it being
Reload.
eligible. Well, not only Reload, but the Lego mode, the festival mode, all these different modes that Fortnite's really expanded upon.
Accessibility, which
So I have to give it to Fortnite there.
Yeah, I'm with you. Fortnite.
Games.
All right,
for
games.
Impact.
This is always the one that I'm like, I don't know.
Oh,
Actually,
look,
I
the
know
one
which
you
one I'll pick
played.
here.
Yep, Tales of
The one I
Kenzuna
played.
Zao.
It did tell a really good story,
And it's really upsetting what happened to the what's happening with the studio trying to get funding for their next game. So
Now,
where
it's
is another
for-
Crab's Treasure in this category? That's what I want.
It was not thought provoking, although that was a great game that should have been in like the independent,
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
But this did tell a really good story about loss and having to learn how to deal with loss, and that is something that something that eventually everybody does deal with, and so it's it told a great story there that I think you could tell it wasn't as refined, even though it was very much a game like the new Prince of Persia. You could tell it wasn't as refined, but it's still a really good, and you have to keep in mind it's made by a smaller studio.
Yes. Yep.
So
now here's one that I'm just gonna give to Call of Duty
I don't know.
because it's a shooter and usually they have really good accessibility features.
I was in a similar vein. I was thinking about picking Diablo because I've heard them having good things for that and making that more accessible, and so I'll just pick it there. Well, all right. We then have best performance, which is interesting because we have
4 girls and a guy. 4 girls and a guy.
We have Brianna White from Final Fantasy Rebirth. I'm trying to remember which person she plays.
You might have to look these up real quick as we're doing this one.
It's true. Let me look these up as we go here. I'm looking up who she played in Rebirth. Oh, she played Aerith. Okay.
Life is
which I do quite like her. I do quite like her character. Life is Strange. I'm not familiar with.
I'm gonna
Obviously,
go with Senua's Saga Hellblade 2 because this is a very cinematic game.
That's she's Senua, right?
Yeah.
And I hear she's basically you follow her the entire game.
Yes.
So
I'm
do you
gonna
give
go
her
with Final Fantasy because the voice acting in that is really good, and
I'm sure
it's a really good story as well.
I'm
And
gonna
her character in particular, I like.
I'm gonna give it to the Senua girl because you stick with her the whole game.
Okay, this is a tough one.
Best audio design: Astrobot, Call of Duty. Oh fuck. Rebirth. Okay. My vote is torn between Astrobot and Call of Duty. However, I'm going to give it to Astrobot because of
I'm giving
Call
it
of
to Astrobot. It
Duty's
sounded better than Call
because
of
of
Duty.
Call of Duty's stupid like audio thing that they're trying to do.
Yeah, it's
So-
not there yet. Hate to tell you, it ain't there.
Yep. Yeah, I'm going.
It's all right. It's not there yet.
Best
Astrobot sounds so
score
much
and
better.
music.
Mm.
That metaphor music that they have played in the I've heard.
I haven't
some of.
listened too much.
The metaphor
of it.
music's pretty good, but Final Fantasy's got really good music too,
I was going
right?
to say Final Fantasy has fantastic
Yeah.
music, and I really like the
Astrobot does
Astrobot
too.
music as well. So I'm really torn on those first two, because those first two.
I'm gonna go with Astro. I don't think it'll sweep like that though. But for what I want,
I like the music when you were playing it. That was really good music, Spencer.
It- Fantastic
I
It
love
music.
your
had some,
streams.
and
Yeah.
it wasn't
At the
just
same
the
time-
music.
I'm going
it was
Astrobot.
the scores. Well, like the different
Yeah.
cues and changes and tempo changes and things like that were
Mhm.
really good. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad you all are voting for Astrobot. It's a great one, but I think I'm gonna have to give it to Final Fantasy.
Best art direction. Metaphor.
Yeah, I like what they did with Metaphor. As much as I really want to give it to Black Myth, I gotta give it to Metaphor. It's so unique in the design and the way it looks.
Artistic design and animation. Yeah, this is if I didn't give it to Metaphor, I highly considering giving it to the Neva game, as that looks absolutely fantastic.
Oh
but
yeah.
I
Yep,
think
yep.
I think I'd have to agree with you all on Metaphor though. All right, best narrative, Rebirth, Like a Dragon, Metaphor. So,
It's
all right,
between
well,
metaphor.
So you're
and
giving it to
Rebirth.
Final Fantasy, right?
It's between,
I'm going Final. Listen, that's the one I played
I'm
through.
going
So like,
metaphor.
or playing through. Metaphor, I do want to
Um,
play through. It seems
So
good,
do
but
I, yeah.
Final Fantasy.
I'm gonna give it to
no,
Final
I've really been
Fantasy.
looking-
I'm gonna give it to Final Fantasy.
They've been telling a pretty good story, and so I'm looking forward to it. All right, best game direction.
Astrobot. Hands
Hold on.
down. Creative vision, innovation. Yeah, I know.
You all
this is-
notice what's in
As
I
in
do.
Creative Vision
I
and
did.
Okay.
Innovation.
Yes, it's all the same stuff. I understand.
Award
Just-
for outstanding creative vision and innovation and game direction design. As far as that category specifically, I think you'd have to go to Astrobot.
Yeah,
You have to, because I wouldn't say any of the other ones really. Well, I guess you could say Balatro innovated a little bit,
It took a really nice, simple idea.
but
And
the
you
other
know what?
ones are based off of things that have already kind of existed for the most
That's
part.
true.
And that's the thing. Astrobot.
With a new art skin,
Astrobot is very unique.
it's unique.
Yeah,
So
I'd say
unique.
the only one that's in second place would probably be Metaphor, from how I heard how they changed
Yeah.
up a bit of your typical RJRPG systems,
Yes.
especially for Persona. But
That's why
Well,
I
let's
think
get
it's a
into
dark
this
horse for the game of the year. And here
well,
we
let's
go.
get into this. Game of the year. I'm very much torn, or between Astrobot and Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, because Final Fantasy has been a great game, as well as Astrobot for completely different reasons. That's the thing, is they both absolutely deserve to be here.
Mm-hmm.
We can all agree, Elden Ring, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah,
don't belong
DLC.
here.
should
Get
not
out
be
of here. You're a
Create
DLC, you're not a
category,
game of the year.
please. I think next year we may see a DLC category after this year because people are screaming about Elden Ring.
I saw somebody take a poll, and is over 70% disagreed with having it here in Game of the Year.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I heard the
That's
only
over
rumored the only reason it made the list is because Jeff Keighley and some of their friends that run the show love Elden Ring so
Oh,
much.
that's 100% why it's there.
Absolutely, Yeah, it's his show.
Yeah.
He's allowed to.
At the end of the day,
Yeah.
our audience votes only counts towards 10% of
Yep.
the votes.
Yep.
So,
Which is ridiculous.
So,
Ridiculous.
Jeff,
Make it like 30%, 40%.
I think that Astrobot is so it's tough because the one that is the most, I think, Astrobot is so accessible, except it's only on PlayStation.
Only PlayStation exclusive.
This is why it's same with Final Fantasy Rebirth right now, right? It's not on
Mhm.
PC yet, correct?
Yeah.
And so Black Myth is on multiple, but it's
But not on Xbox yet, but it's
Not
coming
Xbox.
to Xbox.
Metaphor is on Xbox, correct? It's on everything,
Yes.
right?
Yeah,
Yes. Metaphor's
it's
on
on
everything. So I think Metaphor being the most accessible might surprise us, and I'm going to give it to Metaphor actually because it's most accessible while also being the easiest to probably pick up and play compared to those ones that are most accessible, except maybe Balatro, but I think Balatro is so niche that compared to Metaphor. JRPGs are huge. We've seen a return to them, and I think it's the year of them.
You know, I think what stands out to me more of this is that we have a great variety as far as games go here that we're seeing for this Game of the Year category. As I don't think any two of these games are the same, except, well, there's one exception here, which we'll get into. But let's look at this, right? We have Astrobot being a great action adventure platformer, right? You have Balatro, which I think just this game, while I don't think Balatro deserves it compared to a couple of the other games I've played, I think it's great to have a game here recognized that's made by a solo developer up in, I believe, from Canada, if I remember right. I could be wrong. Having this game nominated for, what is this, 3 different categories, one of them being Game of the Year, is just, it's great to see that a game, no matter how big or small, even done amazingly well, also has a chance against these bigger games. And so you know, I think it's a great overall variety pick here. You know, because Wukong's one of those great sort of action Dark Souls like action games. You know, kind of more in the realm of like Sekiro a little bit or something like that, right? And so, and you know, obviously you get into Elden Ring, but you know, we already talked about how Elden Ring doesn't belong here. But then, you know, then we have like your general, like bigger action RPG with Final Fantasy Rebirth here. But then you have your more turn-based with Metaphor here. And, you know, like I said, everything except for Elden Ring absolutely deserves a spot here. Well, I don't know personally about Black Myth Wukong because it's actually a pretty low.
Yeah, rated low. We were surprised. Yeah.
It's not even, what was the like spot I said? It was 112?
112, yes.
Yeah. And
while the others are all in like the top 10.
Yeah. So that's why I'm like, I don't think it personally belongs there as far as being the absolute best, because everything, well, Black Myth Wukong seems like a great game culturally, for being finally a big AAA Chinese game. It didn't necessarily push that game genre in any direction, is my thing of like, okay, it doesn't belong there because, you know, everything else pushes in some way. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, while at first it probably was my initial pick with Game of the Year when thinking about it, at the end of the day, it's another one of those games where, while it is a truly great game, like in previous years, how we had like God of War Ragnarok and stuff like that, where it takes the previous game and expands on it, right? They both did a great job of expanding the previous game to make it a great sequel that is, in many ways, if not always, better than the one that came before it. But as far as what you're talking about, recognizing a game that delivers the absolute best experience across all the aspects of it, I think for me, especially with actually playing it, it has to be Astrobot, just because you see it being one of the most creative platformers, at least for a AAA platformer, and at least just be so creative across all aspects. And not only that, but also you see it celebrate gaming as a whole, which is fantastic. And it was just great to see it, and it have such a fun, memorable adventure. Each level has its own identity to it. I streamed the whole thing on Dingiston. It was so much fun, and so that's mine's personally is Astrobot. Metaphor definitely could have given a good run of its money if I would have played it.
I think here's the thing with Metaphor that really excites me, you know, thinking about it, because we've all wanted to get into Persona games from the beginning, but once you're behind on Persona games, you're behind. There's a lot of Persona games, and they're not all connected. Well, I'm wondering if like you can now jump into an Atlas IP right from the beginning in 2024, a new IP, and start from the beginning of that IP and experience the greatness of them, but with a whole new IP, and not be wrapped up in all this old lore before. So I think that's, to me, a big part of
well, I think that's a great point too, is like this is a great big original IP, right? And Astrobot's been around for it's actually several years for PlayStation, just not in this sort of game. And Wukong's based off of old mythologies and you know, Final Fantasy. It's obviously, as we were talking about, it's a remake, a complete remake. You know, while it definitely deserves to be a new game, that's not here. You know, it's still it's a story that while they're changing around a lot of the story, you still, for the most part, know the same story.
Yep.
So it's absolutely a great original story in that aspect.
Absolutely. So that was really cool doing that on the go.
Absolutely.
We'll touch base before the Game Awards and kind of go over these again because there's going to be some voting. Round 1 opens December 2nd for the player's voice. Round 2 is December 5th, and round 3 will be December 9th. And so we'll do that as well when they open up. But for now, we're gonna go back to being live, and but let us know what you think of your predictions.
Join us for the live shows for everything else that we wonderfully talk about.
Absolutely.